state. And a drive-by shooting that happened in Durham yesterday afternoon. Upon arrival, officers found a man who had been shot near a bus stop. EMS responded and the victim was transported to a nearby hospital where he died from his injuries, police said. An investigation underway. Now with a look at sports, here's WSIC Sports Director Joe Berg.
The sale of the Washington Commanders was made official yesterday. Josh Harris purchased the team for $6 billion. Former Commanders owner Dan Snyder was fined $60 million after an investigation found he withheld $11 million of revenue and sexually harassed a staff member. Charlotte FC takes on FC Dallas tonight at 9 in League Cup group play action. Also tonight at 9, the FIFA Women's World Cup continues with Team USA taking on Vietnam.
WSIC weather clear and sunny today with a high of 90, partly cloudy tonight, the low 68. Saturday, mostly sunny, the high 84, more sun for Sunday and Monday, the highs each day around 86. Mike Jackson, WSIC News.
Be a part of the conversation.
I listen on the way to work.
Have your say.
It's more than just opinions, it's facts.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
Fit, active, healthy, happy, enjoying the prime of your life. Looking out for your health and wellness. This is Health Talk with Fred Lowry from Lowry Drug in Statesville. Call now to ask Fred your health questions. 704-873-1400. 704-873-1400. You can also visit Fred at his store, conveniently located on Hartness Road in Statesville.
Well, good afternoon. This is Fred Lowry. I'm a pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine from Lowry Drug on Hartness Road in Statesville, established in 1959. We're a traditional pharmacy, and we have a state-of-the-art compounding laboratory, full line of medical equipment, supplies. We also have a full line of supplements, herbs, essential oils, homeopathics, and more. So come see us there. Must do the obligatory disclaimer here. This program is for educational and information purposes. It does not constitute individual medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment of a health problem or disease. You are in charge of your health, and you have more to do with your life and health outcomes on an everyday basis than myself, your pharmacist, or your physician. So I encourage you to take care of your health. So there's many things I want to talk about. One of the things, there are plenty of things to spend money on, but I also like to include things that you can do on an everyday basis that doesn't really cost you much. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to go into water a little in a little more depth, and we're also going to talk about autoimmune disorders. I would like to mention, I think last week we talked about food coloring, and that's in a lot of things: processed foods, candies, cosmetics, soft drinks. It's pretty much everywhere. So. And I think one of the things that helps us make decisions about what we're going to do with our health is education, understanding the background behind some of the things I say. So, if I were to say don't consume any artificial sweeteners, okay, that makes sense. But why would I do that, or why would I not do that? So, artificial dyes are basically made from petroleum. They are approved by the FDA. They're generally for enhancement of color, the processed foods. You also see them as things in pharmaceuticals. As an example, we were trained to put different colors, in pharmaceuticals, particularly things even that we compounded. We did not do that because I understood that was something the body didn't need, and even with colored capsules, those have dyes in them. We always use clear capsules as an example with no coloring. But these artificial food colorings can increase allergic reactions, immune reactive disorders. There's over the past 50 years, you could say we've had a tremendous amount or increase in other things in our foods, etc. We've also had a very large increase in things with our children, behavioral problems, attention deficit disorders. This is not just, we're not going to just blame food dyes for that. There's a lot of pieces to that puzzle. But, when you eat food, you probably have the greatest, what we might call an antigenic load or allergic type load of things that challenges the immune system. So, some of the things that can happen is that chemicals in food make the body reject the food that you're consuming or react to it. So it basically causes inflammation, cross-reactivity to foods, and can have some neurobehavioral disorders. Around a little bit around the fact that there's a lot of behavior type things and emotional type things that go along with the gut. So that's just a little sidelight for the day. And in talking about water, I've mentioned using sunlight to improve water. And basically, what you're doing is you take filtered water, put it in a glass container, and set it out in the sun for 24 hours. So there was a Dr. Gerald Pollack that came up with this fourth phase of water. He calls it EZ water. And basically, it's kind of a gel form, and it acts like a battery. It stores energy, which is really important for a lot of your bodily functions. So, of course, your water is 70% water. We've talked about the importance of staying hydrated. Usually the formula for that is weight divided by 2 is the number of ounces of water that you would drink. So with this fourth phase of water, one of the ways that it forms is with exposure to infrared light or sunlight. So this is important. We become afraid of sunlight because of cancer and particular kind of issues with that. But basically, what happens is when you get out in the sun, and I would advocate, trying to get out in the sun, for 20 or 30 minutes. Certainly if you burn, if you're out long enough that your skin turns red and you burn, that can be damaging to the skin. But what happens is the sun, when it hits the skin, or I think when it hits the water, the water begins to vibrate with the energy from the sun, and water molecules have a really strong bond to one another. So this vibrational energy transfers from one molecule to the next, something like the ripple of a pond. And so the more this happens, the denser they become, and they're basically storing a negative charge. Some people will associate negative charges as increasing in energy by grounding, by walking barefoot outside. That's another discussion. But when you have this easy water or structured water around your cells, it makes everything work better. It improves your mitochondrial function, which is the way your body makes energy. It can act as an antioxidant, so it decreases inflammation. So getting in the sun is one way to improve that. Consuming raw vegetables is another way to do that. Things like cucumbers is an example. Chia seeds are excellent for that, because what happens when you add water to them, they turn into a gel, and they can definitely improve your overall energy, as well as having a lot of other health benefits. So another way, infrared sauna can be helpful. Doing the bulletproof coffee is reported to improve that situation, which is butterfat in your coffee blended. So we're coming up on a break. We'll be right back. This is Fred Lowry at Lowry Drug Company.
From Statesville to Huntersville, serving you better than ever before. We're keeping you connected. WSIC News Talk Now.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
I'm Nick Rice with your WSIC forecast. As we head through the rest of the afternoon, it's going to stay sunny with a high in the low 90s. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 67. On Saturday, it's going to be partly sunny with a high near 85. Saturday night, partly cloudy, a low of 65. On Sunday, there's a 30% chance of a shower or a thunderstorm after about 5 in the afternoon. I'm Nick Rice from WSIC's Weather Center.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Christmas in July is coming to downtown Mooresville. The Mooresville Downtown Commission is hosting their annual July Sales and Sip and Shop event in downtown Mooresville on July 21st. For more info, visit downtownmooresville.com. Blue Moon Productions and Center Stage Alliance present Tom Dooley, a Wilkes County legend, opening July 20th at Matt Gray Auditorium in Statesville. Enjoy a classic story here in Statesville. For more information, visit centerstagealliance.org. Do you enjoy making pottery? Kane Center for the Arts in Cornelius has Ceramics Open Studio. Select Tuesdays and Saturdays, you can become the clay artist you were always meant to be. You must register in person. For the full schedule, visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Looking for something fun to do with your kiddo this summer? Birkdale Buds is hosting their weekly playtime in the plaza. Bring your preschool-aged children for playtime from 10:30 to 12 every Wednesday through October. Some of the activities include games, face painting, storytellers, magicians, arts and crafts, and more. There is no cost and no registration required. Bring a blanket and come join the fun. For more details, visit birkdalevillage.com. Do you like beach music, country music, blues, or rock and roll? You'll hear something you like during Statesville's Friday After 5 Summer Concert Series. On Friday, August 4th, Statesville native Danny Carr and the Skeleton Crew will be playing a free concert. The concert will be held in downtown Statesville on West Broad Street in front of the Mitchell Community College from 6 to 8:30. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
Join Oswald Baptist Church Sunday morning at 10 here on WSIC.
Good morning. Enjoy that morning coffee with Justin Kazepis.
Hope, how we doing this morning?
You know, it was a little rough period there, but I'm getting my happiness back, and you're absolutely helping.
It's Good Morning LKN, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. on WSIC.
Welcome back. This is Fred Lowry, pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine. We were talking about structured water and the interesting aspects of that, particularly when you can take water and put it out in a container and just let the sun energize it or solarize it. And so the first time I heard about that, I've kind of looked around. I learned about this from a doctor that I know in another country was telling me about it. So I tried it, and I have well water that's filtered, and it actually seemed like it changed the taste of the water. It seemed like it was a little thicker or something like that. I could tell a difference, and being curious about that, I even got a glass of the regular tap water, and it did seem different to me. It did feel like my energy was better, and I also check the pH of the water because I wanted to see, well, could it, is it doing anything to that? And actually, the pH went from, I think, 6.4 to 6.8, which is pretty interesting that just sun water can change the pH, or sun, but sun is what we need for life. You've got a question, Joe.
I do. Now, after you set it out in the sun, do you drink it warm or do you put it back in the fridge and cool it off, or does it matter?
You can cool it off, but I put it out in the morning early and take it back in the next morning. So with the nighttime, of course it heats up in the day, but during the night it cools off. So it's cool in the morning. And I don't drink cold water anyway. I drink water that's room temperature, but some people prefer cold water. So either way.
Room temperature is better to get through your system, isn't it?
That's the theory, yeah. But sometimes people like cold water, and I think maybe for a reason maybe they've got some inflammation going on, and it helps cool things down for them. Just a random theory. So we know that we can build this or improve water with sunlight, but the interesting thing is blue light will break up this liquid crystalline type complex. So blue light coming off of your cell phone or your computer, it's really a new toxin, and we don't really think about light as being a toxin per se, but it does have disruptive capabilities, and particularly with our circadian rhythm. So we're creatures of light, so we have this circadian rhythm that includes hormone production and many other things that is based on when the sun comes up and when the sun goes down. When you wake up, hormones are coming on board, increasing. In the evening, as it gets dark, some hormones are dropping down, including cortisol, so that you can go to sleep and you're not mentally alert. Of course, when you have disruption of this, then you get disruptions in sleep. So the tip of the day here is there is an app called f.lux, L-U-X, f.lux, that is a free app. I think it's free on Microsoft, but basically it adjusts the color to the time of the day and protects your eyes against blue light. You can also, my optometrist, I asked her about that one time, and she's, because blue light apparently can damage your eyes as well. And she told me that she had got the glasses for her children, all had those blue blockers on. So, there's basically we definitely want to try to, one of the things that about just about every therapy there is in terms of natural medicine, it is the improvement of mitochondria. Mitochondria, the little organelles in a cell that help produce energy, and this plays a big role in that. And so there's been an example of vaccine injured patients benefit from red light therapy. So if it's in the wavelength of ultraviolet, then it improves the structured water in your body and improves your overall energy and hopefully recovery. But going back to the fear of the sun, we want to use sunscreens and all this stuff, which probably has an appropriate use, in extreme conditions. If you're, they are toxic to the skin. But if you're out in a situation where you don't have proper clothing or whatever, that might be a reason to use that, but certainly would avoid it. And they've shown that avoiding sunlight has a more significant risk of different types of cancers, probably because of the benefit of vitamin D. But you're also producing cholesterol sulfate. We know about cholesterol producing nitric oxide, which is not only a vasodilator, it helps with blood pressure, but a neurotransmitter. So there's a lot going on there. So one other little sidelight, some of you may be aware that sound will affect water as well. And there was a Dr. Masura Emoto that took water and would freeze it in crystals. And it was pretty dramatic, the difference in water that was exposed to music that we might enjoy versus darker, incoherent music. So that type of music formed deformed crystals in the water. And so even projecting thoughts or prayer over some water and then crystallizing it created these beautiful crystals, which is pretty interesting. So if sound does that to water, you might even get into the concept of what are your thoughts doing to your body in that case. So and then one thing you might think about, a lot of times when people have energy drops, sometimes we think about that as blood sugar, but it could be dehydration, particularly this time of the year. Pardon. I will tell you that I think it's a good idea to filter your water. You don't want fluoride in your water. That may come as a shock. Joe's over here going, what?
I was always told that the fluoride in the water was a good thing.
No, it's not. It really isn't. I'll briefly cover that. But fluoride is basically the fluoride that goes in the water is basically a byproduct of the fertilizer industry. It's a hazardous substance. You can't bury it. You have to put it in everybody's water and distribute it across the planet, basically. It's an acid, and it's a hazardous material when it's handled at the water filtration plant. It has been reported that if you spill it, it will actually eat concrete. Now, fluoride is a halogen. S is iodine. So iodine is important for your thyroid. So if you're exposed to too much fluoride, you can mess up your thyroid because the fluoride is chemically similar, so it's taken the place of the iodine in your thyroid. Actually, the way if somebody had a thyroid problem years ago, the way they killed the thyroid was to give them iodine. So fluoride treatments, the idea would be that you're preventing cavities, and that was some idea that came up for children. And that's where the fluoride treatments come in, like in some of the dental offices used to be. But even in dental schools now, it's my understanding that they teach that it's only really topical application of fluoride that's helpful in the prevention of cavities. So oral ingestion of it is not. It's just not going to do it. And when you get too much fluoride, you get something called fluoridosis, which is white spots on your teeth. So it's not. I think it's a negative. The other thing is, you're treating everybody the same. It'd be like saying, well, 20% of the population has headaches, so let's put Tylenol in the water and treat everybody. That's a problem. We're coming up on another break, so we'll be back in a few minutes.
Local and North Carolina news now on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC. News Talk Now.
I'm Mike Jackson, WSIC News. Queen City News reporting that Iredell Water Corporation is sending out a warning about water thefts with a picture of someone rigging up a hose to a fire hydrant and tapping right into Statesville's water supply. Water officials did not name the company, but they said a worker was in someone's yard stealing water from a fire hydrant in the middle of the day. And the National Weather Service concluding its preliminary survey on Wednesday's strong tornado that impacted Nash and Edgecombe counties in central North Carolina. The initial results tell the story of how strong and just how rare the tornado actually was. Peak winds reached 150 miles per hour as it tracked across the region. Now with a look at sports, WSIC Sports Director Joe Berg.
The FIFA Women's World Cup started yesterday. Team USA plays Vietnam tonight at 9 p.m. Also, Charlotte FC takes on FC Dallas at 9 in League Cup group play.
WSIC weather clear and sunny today with a high of 90. Partly cloudy tonight, the low 68. Saturday, mostly sunny, the high 84. More sun for Sunday and Monday, the highs each day around 86. Mike Jackson, WSIC News.
Good morning. Enjoy that morning coffee with Justin Kazepis.
Hope, how we doing this morning?
You know, it was a little rough period there, but I'm getting my happiness back, and you're absolutely helping.
It's Good Morning LKN, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. on WSIC.
The Statesville Family YMCA is gearing up for pickleball. Come enjoy this popular game weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. If the weather is too bad for kids attending summer camp to be outside, pickleball will be canceled. The Statesville Family YMCA, 828 Wesley Avenue.
Hi, this is Andy with Lake Mountain Coffee, located at 110 West Broad Street in Statesville. Did you know we also own and operate Statesville's first coffee roasting facility? We roast coffee beans for businesses, fundraising events, special occasions such as a wedding. We can even put a custom message on the back of your bags. If you're a company or simply someone with a coffee need, give us a call at 704-252-1886. And remember, if you want fresh, you must go local.
You know Randy Marion is the king of price on new vehicles, but we're also the king of price, king of selection on pre-owned vehicles. 2018, 2019, 2020's special buy Chevrolet Equinox starting at $11,880. That's right, $11,880. These are Equinoxes, off-lease purchase. We've got a huge selection, all-wheel drive. You pick the color, drive it home today. Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, Randy Marion Ford Lincoln. Again, you know where we are. Look for that spinning car, folks, because that is where the deals are.
To buy your home, you became a house hunting ace, learned about loans, scoured neighborhoods, and asked the right questions. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hello, Americans. I'm Todd.
All the news, one station. News Talk WSIC.
Hey everyone, this is Robert Carey from America's #1 travel radio show. Join Mary and me and Rudy each Saturday as we cover the ever-evolving world of travel, talk with newsmakers, share compelling experiences, and explore the world together during the fastest 2 hours in travel on RM World Travel.
Welcome back. This is Fred Lowry. I'm here with producer Joe Berg. We were just talking about water. I guess today is all things water. Off the air, we were just talking. Joe just thought, well, of course, fluoride's the right thing to do with the water, which kind of brings up a little interesting point in that the things that we grow up knowing or thinking that we know we just just embrace them as fact. There's no question about that. Of course there's plenty of people out there that have questioned it, but Joe, it's just an example. I'm not picking on you, of course, but it's an example of the things that we just accept. And of course, I think the past couple of years we've learned that we just can't accept everything at face value anymore. We do need to do our own research. So obviously, water enables your body to detoxify. An interesting thing is that if you drink water, the water gets into connective tissue, and the connective tissue, sometimes known as fascia, acts like a hydraulic pump. So when you're moving, you're lubricating your joints. You have to have joints have to have water in your joints and the bursa to be able to lubricate them and move properly. And I think that's one of the reasons so that when we sit, and this happens to me if I sit for very long, if I'm driving for a long period of time, when I get out of the truck, I'm stiff, and I think that's pretty common. So movement really is the second half of hydration. It also, I think it because of that, it moves electrons, the energy. So just something to think about. Now, there are other things you can do to water, and I will tell you too. If we're looking into filtered water, activated charcoal is a great way to filter water. Reverse osmosis is pretty popular, but I will tell you that reverse osmosis does destructure that water. So, after you filter it, you may want to take your drinking water and put it outside. Of course, the other thing that is toxic to people is chlorine. So now, there's kind of a double-edged sword there, because you have to have chlorine to keep the water sanitary, and that is very important. But you probably don't want to drink that water, so that's why the filters are helpful. Or you can just maybe set the water out in your house, and it will off-gas the chlorine. And they do, if you're sensitive to that, which the chlorine is something called like a xenoestrogen. It does have hormonal kind of activity in the body, and so people that take showers, they make shower heads that will remove chlorine. So that's another option. So as we move in talking about water, we'll talk about baking soda, because baking soda in water is helpful for many things. It's been used for indigestion, but it also alkalizes the water, and it's an inexpensive way. Has been reported as an inexpensive way to treat autoimmune diseases. So everybody's familiar with baking soda. It's a household commodity. I think Arm & Hammer has the best, probably the best marketing people in the world, because you put a box in your refrigerator, to absorb waters, and they even had you dumping it in the sink to clean out your drain. So that, I'm sure that increased their sales, but it does have alkalizing properties, and it also acts as a buffer. Now, alkaline water by itself does not really have any buffering capacities, but basically when you some people will check their urine or saliva pH. The normal in the textbooks is about 6.5. If you're more acidic, then some people will take baking soda and water to improve that situation. As far as the blood pH, that's maintained under very strict kind of controls. So you're probably not going to affect the blood pH much at all, and probably don't want to. But the baking soda helps decrease inflammation and is supposed to help improve your situation with these autoimmune disorders. Of course, with autoimmune disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, as an example, the standard treatments would be like prednisone, a steroid. There's other type of drug inhibitors, Humira, Enbrel, Remicade, anti-cancer drugs like methotrexate. But all these things have negative effects and have a downside to them. So with COVID and the COVID shot, there has been an increase in autoimmune disorders, and the risk if you got COVID had increased, and also in looking at the past documents from Pfizer, not from other sources, but in their trials, there were a tremendous number of autoimmune type reactions, including creation of all kinds of antibodies, even anti-sperm antibodies. So, those are certainly issues, and the improvement in your overall health, is really important with that. But one thing that's been out for some time in treating general autoimmune type disorders is something called low-dose naltrexone. And so with autoimmune disorders, there's people that have chronic pain, chronic inflammation. You might see people with Lyme's disease, fibromyalgia, SIBO, which is a small intestine bowel infection, restless leg, depression. So basically, your immune system's overreacting. The thyroid autoimmune disorders is Hashimoto's. So basically what that means is your body is attacking itself. And so naltrexone in very small doses affects what's known as opioid receptors in the brain. And it was used in really high doses for addictions and alcoholism because it did block those receptors. Now, the very low dose you might consider is just kind of a gentle, maybe even kissing of that receptor. It just kind of goes there and backs out. It doesn't stay there. And because of that, it seems to help upregulate the body's immune system by increasing the opioid receptors on production of something called endorphins, which affect mood, pain, and sleep. So it's a very good option. We've seen individuals that got good improvement, not necessarily miraculous. Sometimes it has been. As with all things, there's a big range there. But this is a medication that's usually compounded. We compound a lot of it in our lab. So basically, we're the commercial product's 50 milligrams, and the dose that is generally used is 1 to 4.5 milligrams. So we're able to make that for people that are in need of it. Other things that we've mentioned related to your immune system, certainly vitamin D levels play a role in that. Gut health, leaky gut that we've talked about, and sometimes if you have leaky gut, you've got leaky brain too, so to speak. But wheat is a problem with that. We've talked about that. There's probably over 150 antigens in the wheat. I think we're coming up on a break here, so we'll be back. And we'll open up the line for questions in the next section. If you want to call, give us a call at, I think it's 873-1400. Is that correct, Joe?
704-873-1400.
Thank you.
Stay up to date with the latest in your community, state, and nation. WSIC News Talk Now.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Christmas in July is coming to downtown Mooresville. The Mooresville Downtown Commission is hosting their annual July Sales and Sip and Shop event in downtown Mooresville on July 21st. For more info, visit downtownmooresville.com. Blue Moon Productions and Center Stage Alliance present Tom Dooley, a Wilkes County legend, opening July 20th at Matt Gray Auditorium in Statesville. Enjoy a classic story here in Statesville. For more information, visit centerstagealliance.org. Do you enjoy making pottery? Kane Center for the Arts in Cornelius has Ceramics Open Studio. Select Tuesdays and Saturdays, you can become the clay artist you were always meant to be. You must register in person. For the full schedule, visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Looking for something fun to do with your kiddo this summer? Birkdale Buds is hosting their weekly playtime in the plaza. Bring your preschool-aged children for playtime from 10:30 to 12 every Wednesday through October. Some of the activities include games, face painting, storytellers, magicians, arts and crafts, and more. There is no cost and no registration required. Bring a blanket and come join the fun. For more details, visit birkdalevillage.com. Do you like beach music, country music, blues, or rock and roll? You'll hear something you like during Statesville's Friday After 5 Summer Concert Series. On Friday, August 4th, Statesville native Danny Carr and the Skeleton Crew will be playing a free concert. The concert will be held in downtown Statesville on West Broad Street in front of the Mitchell Community College from 6 to 8:30. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
I'm Nick Rice with your WSIC forecast. As we head through the rest of the afternoon, it's going to stay sunny with a high in the low 90s. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 67. On Saturday, it's going to be partly sunny with a high near 85. Saturday night, partly cloudy, a low of 65. On Sunday, there's a 30% chance of a shower or a thunderstorm after about 5 in the afternoon. I'm Nick Rice from WSIC's Weather Center.
Quality Car Care at 2040 Old Mountain Road is your local Toyota specialist and a licensed NC inspection station. View their pre-owned inventory at QualityCarCareStatesville.com. 704-902-7678.
Where the heart of Lake Norman lives. WSIC News Talk Now. Be a part of the conversation.
We can't fix America's debt by starving its people.
Have your say.
One shooting after another, and we're doing nothing to solve it?
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
Welcome back. This is Fred Lowry, pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine from Lowry Drug. I can't talk, apparently. We were just talking about water and autoimmune disorders. So, I mentioned quickly wheat. One of the things, particularly with thyroid disorders, is that gluten does interfere with thyroid function, and but we're way over focused on the gluten issue, because then we think, well, if we eat avoid gluten products, no gluten labels, then we're okay. But like I said, there are a lot of different antigens in wheat. Gluten is just one of the proteins there. You also are looking at the potential for glycophosphates like Roundup, which add to the toxicity, particularly to your liver. So, and you can get into all the preservatives that go into that product. I understand there's still, in some cases, bromide being used in wheat, and bromide is another halogen like chlorine and iodine and fluoride, so it does interfere with thyroid function as well. Bad idea, along with other antigenic type foods, the lectins, which we have talked about some in the past. Best way to avoid lectins in beans is to pressure cook your beans, which is a lot quicker, and they taste better that way anyway. One other little tip, if you like the low dose naltrexone, and you can, there's a lot of information on the internet about that if you're interested in that, if you have a autoimmune disorder. Some people call it LDN for low dose naltrexone. So you might look at that. Normally the way it's dosed, you start out at low doses and work your way up. But it also works synergistically with the CBD oil. So something to consider for people that are having those kind of health issues. So if you have any questions, give us a call, 704-873-1400. One other tip I'd mention, in some cases, people drink water and it seems to go right through them. So maybe your body's not utilizing water properly. We have a product by Natural Creations called Hydrate that works very well for helping to improve hydration. I think it's a membrane enhancer. And if you think about cell dysfunction and insulin resistance, I think it's a little bit of the same thing. Insulin, as an example, is not able to act on that cell membrane. That's all related to diet, by the way. So that could be part of that. One little thing I ran across, this is a shift in the topic, but the concept of there was a test done about placebos versus multivitamin as a placebo, and so the study included healthy men 68 years and older. Some took multivitamins, some took the placebo for about 6 months, and of course, obviously, the ones that took the multivitamin had actually improved markers in their health, the things that they were looking at, implications in metabolism and immune health. So placebo is important in some cases, because if you think it's helping you, the psychological impact of that. I'm okay with placebo effect, but that doesn't replace nutrients. So think about nutrient situations. Everything that your body does requires vitamins. You also require nutrients like proteins, fats, carbs, those kind of things. But your body works on vitamins and minerals. So I think this day and age is really important to take a supplement. We also have condition-specific supplements, which means if you're a diabetic, I'm getting dry here. I'll take a sip of water just a minute.
No problem. It's a very interesting conversation here about.
I don't talk this much for this long a time, but except here.
Now, is there a right and a wrong way to test placebos when you're doing studies on drugs and their effect?
Well, there is, but it's very difficult because, okay, if depending on the drug, you're in a study. I mean, if you're not having any side effects, you're pretty quickly going to think I'm taking the placebo. but they want to compare that. I will tell you one thing that they do. Sometimes placebo is not placebo in the trials, and there's so much fraud in trials now. That for instance, if you're doing a trial on a vaccine, and you have the real vaccine, and you have all the components of the vaccine except for the pathogen or the bacteria or the virus in there, and you compare those, you're not going to have much variation in side effects. They'll all be about the same. The placebo group is going to be about the same side effect profile as the real thing. That's been done. So, as I started to talk about, the issue with the supplements and condition specific. If you're a diabetic, we have a product called Nutriplenish DM that helps support the body or the nutrient issues with diabetics. Every type of disease state has different supplements that may be associated with it. If you have eye issues, vision issues, we've got something called Maxi Vision that has the nutrients for the eyes, but also is a general multivitamin in a capsule form. We have vitamins relative to cell detox. We have a very good liquid vitamin that is more bioavailable, I think, than tablets or capsules. I like capsules over tablets, in terms of the things that are in them. And, a compressed tablet has to dissolve before it you get the nutrients out of it. So depending on how that's made, there's in pharmaceutical science, there's ways to make that happen better than others, but that is important. But the liquid multi, it has something called fulvic acid, which has an electrical charge, and that actually helps transport those nutrients into the gut and into the cells. So I think that's very important. There's certainly supplements that can improve memories. Obviously, there are supplements that support energy function. We've used MitoCaps, which supports mitochondrial function. So there's all kinds of things out there that can improve your situation. So do you want to? Do you have to take a supplement every day? Probably not. I actually take mine 5 days a week, and don't take them on on the weekends. So I don't think in the same way that we use food, you don't have to take those supplements every day. There's certainly some that might be important. So let's see, how much time we have, Joe?
Oh, we got about 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, one last tip. Some of you have heard about oil pulling, which is basically you take coconut oil and you put it in your mouth and you swish it around for some say 20 minutes. I can't do it that long. But it's been touted as being a way to detox your body. I'm not sure that that's been validated or can be validated. But what I do think it does is it helps your gums. It maybe would help my cough at the moment.
And how exactly would that help detox your entire body if you're just swishing it around the mouth?
Well, the theory is that you're pulling toxins from the tissue, and anytime you do that, you're lowering the overall toxic load. But it does. I think what you can validate is it is good for your gums. It helps clean around your teeth. It has antibacterial properties. So it could improve your oral health. So they say that you don't want to spit that out in the sink You probably don't want to be careful about washing out coconut oil in the sink because it will turn to a solid at room temperature. And then the other thing, of course, some people, going back to the baking soda, some people brush their teeth or rinse their mouth with that. Baking soda is antifungal. So if you have a yeast infection or problems in your mouth like that, very effective. Come see us at Lowry Drug here in Statesville.
The new